Happy 2019. I was going to say Happy New Year. We're a little past it now.
You can't do that now because when does it become awkward, right? How long do you think you can say Happy New Year for?
I think we should carry it on for several months, as long as it's the first half of the year. Let's do it, Martin. We can do this.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Keep in mind, I'm the kind of person who leaves their Christmas tree up for like till the next Christmas.
I didn't put a Christmas tree up.
Didn't you?
No, I didn't. I feel really bad. Is that bad?
I mean, no. Some people don't celebrate Christmas. So
I suppose.
just,
Normally I do, but not this year.
Yeah.
I just couldn't be bothered. It was too cold in the UK to get the tree out.
Well, we should talk about that, in fact, because Martin here is our very brand new reporter. And I should also say welcome to the very first Ask a Reporter. We haven't actually said that yet. So you have come all the way over from Scotland.
Sunny.
How was that?
Is that a Scottish accent?
Scotland. Sorry, was really bad. I knew that was bad as soon as I was doing it. Okay, I'll practice.
Scotland.
And I'll bring it in later. I'm sorry, Scottish kids who are listening are like... Scotland.
That's not bad. Yeah, I've come all the way from Glasgow in Scotland, and when I came over, it was about 2 weeks ago. When I came over, it was about -7 degrees, and it was snowing when I got on the plane. And then about 24 hours later, after coming down from the sky, it was like 35 degrees. And Straya. Is that okay? Straya.
Oh.
Straya.
It's okay. Yeah, almost.
G'day, mate. Straya.
Oh, you got to work on it a little.
Oh, okay.
A little bit, not too bad.
But I've got my hat. Look.
You've got your hat.
I've got my hat and I've got my glasses.
How do you feel about a little bit of sunscreen?
I always go and put a little bit on my little finger there.
A little bit on the cheeks.
A bit in the nose, right?
Yeah,
so
on the nose.
And my ears
always...
Because I've got really big ears. And I had to grow into my ears when I was younger. So when I was born, my ears were the same size. And then my face grew into it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a true story.
Wait, so your ears were really big?
Yeah, my ears were really big when I was little. And I grew into them like Dumbo.
That happens a lot, I think.
Yeah,
you didn't rub it in properly on that ear there, but
did I?
Just don't worry about it. This boiling sun inside is just going to burn right through anyway.
And I think the viewers are going to recognise pretty quickly that how red my face looks at the minute. I don't normally look this red.
Don't take cues from Martin, guys, because you need to wear heaps of sunscreen. Clearly more.
You really do. But being Scottish, like sunscreen still doesn't stop me from going red, Amelia. Even if the sun thinks about coming out, right? I'll go red. Seriously, that's what happens if you're Scottish. We're just not.
What if you are just thinking about the sun? Do you go red?
Yeah, when I think about it, I go all hot and stuff. Like, whoof, it's toasty in here.
Sweating.
Even thinking about it now, can you see me going even redder? Like,
I can see it. I did.
See it? It's a true thing. It's a true story.
So why are we talking so much right now about weather and heat and all of these things, Martin?
Because we've been having some crazy weather all over the world, basically, and then that was my first story for Behind the News when we first got back. Week 1, Martin's first story was all about the crazy freak weather that we've been having in Australia, and then you also covered the flash floods and the bushfires that's been happening.
Yeah, Tasmania and Townsville, or in far north Queensland generally.
Yeah, we were talking about the US as well and about the polar vortex that was happening there.
Yeah,
so
crazy pictures coming out of America.
Yeah, but to be fair, it was the perfect story for me to come in
as
a cold weathered animal coming into a hot climate, and then all this crazy weather happening. So the story basically had written itself for me.
Yeah, it was just easy, smooth sailing. Well, speaking of writing things yourself, you haven't just come fresh to us, from uni or from anywhere else as a reporter, as a BTN reporter. You have had some experience, quite a lot of experience, actually. Yeah. So can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, I can. I came most recently from a programme called CBBC Newsround, which is in the UK.
So you might have heard of BBC, just on its own.
It is BBC, yes.
Like the kids' sort of channel on BBC.
Children's BBC it stands for, so there it is. You can see there's my face.
Look at this.
That was me doing a report. That's a clouded leopard trying to bite my head off during Alive. That was me working for a radio programme called Radio 1. So I'm quite busy. There's Newsround Studio there. That was when One Direction split up. That was quite a sad story.
Oh, that was a very sad day.
Yeah, it was really, really good. I enjoyed it.
The hairstyles really changing.
Hairstyles change like the weather for me. Really. I mean, look at this. Have you seen my grey? Right? Have you seen the grey hair?
Oh, yeah.
Can I just say something? That wasn't intentional. That is just going grey, you know. It's really unfortunate.
Did that happen after you spent a few days at BTN?
I've come to BTN and because of the hot weather it's turned my hair grey. I'm totally different. So I have had a little bit of experience speaking to a younger audience on TV. Newsround and Behind the News are very similar in the way that they do things on a daily basis and a weekly basis, in the way that we speak to the audience, you guys. So I thought that it would be a perfect opportunity for me to come and see how Australians do it.
Australians?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Was that alright? Am I getting better at it?
I was like, what was that? Our bear fell. This is Yachtogram.
Honestly, I just can't bear it.
Our bear.
See what I did there?
This is Yachtogram, which was a measurement that we learnt about. If you're an Ask the Reporter fan, you would know that we named this bear Yachtogram, Ruby and I, because it was a weird measurement.
Right.
Do you know Yachtogram exists? It's
No.
I think it's a really small, but I can't remember, a really tiny measurement from memory.
Okay.
So there you go.
Yeah,
it's a weird name for a bear, is my point.
I won't remember it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I forgot.
Yachty.
Yachty
the famous bear.
You ought to be kidding me. I'm sorry, I can't help it with the puns. You ought to be kidding me.
We like puns here.
You ought to love that name.
Now I've got to pull one out, but I can't think of one, so we'll just move on.
We'll work on that. Keep rolling. Keep it
rolling. Okay, well, let's launch into some questions because we do have a lot of questions, and you would have seen, hopefully, our very first episode of BTN, and so you would have seen the stories about the weather and what we were talking about before. So lots of questions from you guys. So let's kick things off first with Maddie. Maddie says, what's the weather like in the USA now? And you might notice I've got paper instead of our usual tablet. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully we can get some of your live questions also coming through. So do excuse our technical difficulties.
We're going a little bit old school.
Very old school. Look at this.
Old school paper questions. It makes noise.
Paper
and everything.
It does.
Doesn't it? Makes noise.
Yeah, the tablet doesn't do that.
Yeah. See?
Nothing.
Where's the fun in that? So what was the question?
I've forgotten.
I think it was, what's the weather like in the US
what's the weather
now?
like in the US right now from Maddie?
The weather in the US right now, well, we did have speak about the polar vortex, which was happening.
Do you know what a polar vortex is?
Do you know what a polar vortex is?
Kind of, yeah.
I genuinely would love to know what it is. I just say the words, like I convince people that I know.
You're just like, yeah, polar vortex. I know that.
Amelia, take the floor.
Well, okay. Well, you might be able to tell me if I'm wrong, audience, because I can't completely remember, but I think it's to do with winds coming off the Arctic or the North Pole. Winds coming from the North Pole, so it's these winds. I don't know, there was just a weird voice inside my head.
Someone's voice came there. Anyway.
And these freezing winds, that's why it gets so cold, come through and really cool the temperatures down. So I think that is what the polar vortex is, apparently. So, because to me, polar vortex sounds like this weird, like, spinning thing of wind.
It does sound like, you are right, it does.
It's all about the wind. Anyway, so just so you know. Yeah.
But I think it was really extreme weather that was happening in certain parts of America with that, really unexpected and quite unusual as well. They do get, I think in parts of Washington, like the eastern coast of America, they do get a lot of snow at that time of year, but I think that polar vortex in particular was pretty bad. But right now in America, I don't think it's that bad anymore. I think it's all started to clear up and they're just having normal sort of weather climates at the minute. In South America, in South America it's a bit different. They're having flash floods now, so places like Brazil, Ecuador, Colombia, they're experiencing a lot of rain and flash floods, just like what was happening in certain parts of Australia.
Crazy stuff. All right, well, let's keep going. Because we do have a lot of questions.
We do, don't we? Good job.
Great work. So we have one question is from Maddie, i.e. Maddie. Our other Maddie was a Y. Maddie and Eloise have both asked a similar question, which is, are the fires in Tasmania under control now? Or what is happening with the fires in Tasmania now? So I can tell you if you like.
Yeah, can you do it?
Yeah. Because I did that story. So at the moment, the good news is that Tasmania actually got some rain, and it was a bit unexpected that was going to happen so quickly. So firefighters were expecting to keep battling these fires for several months, because you would have heard in my story, those fires were already burning for over a month, which is so long.
Long time.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was so really possible for these fires to just keep going and going, just like the same bushfires for that long. But I guess if they keep having allowing land to, burn up, then it makes sense.
It's just so hard to control it. If the conditions are perfect for the fire to spread, then it becomes...
hot and windy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
No rain, no water, there's a drought. Fire loves that kind of condition, doesn't it? So it'll move faster.
Is this something that you feel like you heard much about before coming to Australia? Like, do you have any bushfires up your way?
We don't, definitely not. We have
I didn't think so, but I didn't want to presume.
When it comes to Scotland or Northern England, because or anywhere in England actually, anywhere in the UK, I don't think we experience natural sort of bushfires. But Newsround, a good couple of years back, they did send a reporter to Australia.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. They sent
I can't believe
Ricky.
they didn't come and visit us.
I know, cheeky. They didn't even tell. They must have snuck in. But they did it, and they spoke about the bushfires and went and worked with the rescue teams there and the fire service to find out and speak about rescue dogs as well, because a lot of animals get used when it comes to bushfires and certain other disasters that can happen. So Newsround really wanted to find out what was happening with that. I think that's really the only experience that I've ever seen. So, and we had to come all the way to Australia to see that, but not in the UK.
Yeah,
sure.
Too cold. Not
too
the right
cold.
conditions.
There's no way fires would be able to thrive in that condition.
But then you have the other problems, just like America, I guess.
Well, America was really extreme, but in Glasgow and in the UK, we do get cold weather all the time. It is normally cold, but it is still pretty unusual for us to get snow, like a massive amount of snow. So recently, in the last couple of years, the summer in the UK recently was the hottest that we've ever had.
Wow, I remember that.
Yeah, so we had a really, really good summer, but in the say, we're getting a pretty sort of frosty winter as well. I mean, it was snowing when I had left Scotland, and I know that in the north of England it was pretty bad as well, and I know it's just swept over the country. So I suppose we're getting one good extreme and then we're getting another. So things are changing a little bit.
Extremes everywhere. Yeah. So just to finish that off, then I guess, sorry, I went off topic a little, but they did get rain in Tasmania, and the fires, any fires that are still burning, are no longer threatening communities. So that's a big yay for
great.
Tasmanians.
Good.
All right, so let's go on to, let's see, we've got Ollie. Okay, Ollie says, why do they light the train tracks on fire when people might walk over the tracks?
I don't know if people should be walking over train
think
tracks,
should
they?
anyway.
First of all, let's just address that, Ollie. Don't be walking over any train tracks, buddy. Not a chance. No, I think that they light the train track, because you covered this story as well, didn't you?
I did,
You're all over the place. You know everything.
I did this for our daily program. If you haven't checked that out, we'll talk a little bit more about that later, but you can check it out on YouTube at the moment and on our website. But yeah.
Yeah, you did it, and you mentioned it. Why did they do it again? Why did they set the train tracks
so
on
they
fire?
they set the train tracks on fire using sort of imagine a gas burner kind of thing. So just like a gas fire that they have controlled and set along the tracks so that the ice wouldn't be able to form on the tracks, which then stops the train from being able to move. So basically, to keep the trains moving, to keep transport happening.
That blows my mind though, because visually it looks really good, doesn't it? I never ever thought that they'd be able to do something like that and get away with it. But
and that was in Chicago too, which is freezing anyway, kind of like what you were talking about before. It's a really cold place, so they got some of the worst temperatures. I think it was down to what was it, the minus, did you say minus 40s
minus
or something?
-40s. It's just I don't know, because people were, did you see the thing where people were putting their jeans or their trousers out and they were standing them up, and the jeans just froze so you could stand them up, and then people's hair could you imagine what your hair would be like if it was all frozen up?
I could do a gigantic afro.
I don't have enough hair to freeze.
Yours would just be the same.
Grey doesn't freeze apparently. But in the same token, talking about train tracks, in Chicago they set fire to their train tracks, but when it was hot in the UK, right? When it was so hot in the UK, it was so hot that the trains couldn't run because the train tracks had expanded so much.
It's too hot.
So
there you go.
so it's really strange, isn't it? How the train tracks can you can put them in fire in Chicago, but if you get a little bit of heat in Scotland, then no one gets the train.
Wow.
Yeah, all the trains stopped, no one could get in or out.
Crazy. Hey Martin, one of my favourite stories you were telling, I think a couple of days ago, was about how, what were we talking about?
I'm worried about this now.
No, don't worry.
I tell a lot of stories, Amelia.
Are they real? Aren't they?
Oh,
They're all
who
real.
knows? Who knows?
Surely.
I can't remember.
I think so.
It
was about the hat policy that we have in Australia, and we were talking about how kids, you all wear hats outside. That's kind of just what happens in particular in primary schools. And you were saying that there's a Scottish policy that is not the same.
I have to try and remember this, Amelia. So the policy... Oh, the wellies! Oh, aye, the wellies. That's right. So wellies. Do you think the audience would know what wellies are?
Well, yeah.
Well, let me just explain what.
Yeah,
I don't mean
explain anyway, just in case.
If you know what wellies are, I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
I'm pretty sure they would, because you do see them around. Gumboots.
Gumboots.
Yes,
That's the one. So like when in the winter, because it's always wet in the UK. Even in the summer, it's wet. Like the sun is just something that no one ever gets to see. When it comes out, it's always like, what is that yellow big thing in the sky, and what's it doing to my face? Why am I going red? No one knows, right? So we wear wellies quite a lot because it's wet, and the policy is that you have to come to school in your wee wellies when you go out to the playground for lunchtime. And we used to have a wee song, if it wasn't for your wellies, where would you be? We used to always go out, and that means if it wasn't for your wellies, where would you be? Just in case you didn't understand it, that was a Scottish term. But yeah,
and rain jackets, right? Raincoats.
Always rain jackets. We've always got jackets on
difference.
because it's cold, and gloves and scarves because that's how cold it is. Sometimes it gets so bad that we don't even get to go out for lunch.
Actually, it's funny you say that, because I saw Canada, and I'm sure several other places, have a snow day. They had a snow day either today or yesterday.
Is a snow day when they get the day off?
Yes, and you're not allowed to go to school. So kind of like some schools, if it gets over a certain temperature, people won't go to school. I mean, that's how it used to be.
I bet the kids were so upset.
Oh, man.
I bet they were so upset, weren't they? Like, oh, it's so good. I want to go to school, Mum. Why there's so much snow outside? I don't want to build a snowman.
Right?
I don't want to play in a sledge. I want to learn about maths. Teach me about maths.
Is cool. We like
I like maths. I just can't do it.
All right. Well, I have a comment from Sebastian from YouTube.
Hi, Sebastian.
Says he's on YouTube, and he says, WA, it was very hot the other day. We hit like 45. That is so hot.
That is hot. That's unthinkable.
I hope you had some really great methods for staying cool, Sebastian. Because
shade. Stay out of the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stay inside, aircon. Yeah. You got some tips actually, didn't you?
I did. I got some top tips from some kids. Wear a hat, which I did.
Which you do. Sunscreen. Sunglasses.
All
right, we have a lot of questions, so we better keep going. All right, let me see. So Ian, this is a question just for you. Why do you like it here? I was thinking you just said, do you like it here? But it's, why do you like it here?
I like it here because I do like the sun. And I do like Australia very much, because when I grew up in Scotland, in Glasgow, we don't really have a beach. We don't have beach, really. Edinburgh's got a beach, but whether you would call it a beach, I don't know. But I like beaches.
What is it like? Is it rocky?
It's kind of stony.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a stony beach, and the water's really cold, and you can't go in that water really. It's like ice. It's not. So I like the things that Australia had to offer. So the hot weather, the tropical climate in some places, and then the animals that you guys have got here. I'm a big animal fan, so kangaroos, obviously, koalas, animals that anywhere else in the world that we wouldn't see these animals in the Great Barrier Reef which is one of the natural wonders of the world. And I just love the country, really. I just think people are really nice. I have fun when I'm here.
Thank you.
Great countries are doing really well. These are.
What do I have to say to that?
Yeah, have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
That's a really nice T-shirt you've got on.
Hashtag Australia underneath.
It shouts Friday, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Have a nice day, Friday.
It's very friendly.
Yeah, very jazzy.
You don't want to see what it says on the back. Nah. Just jokes. It's just friendly. It doesn't say anything else.
Such a joker.
In brackets it says, just jokes.
Just kidding.
Kidding. Have a terrible day.
Thanks for that, Ian. What's the next one?
Okay, I have a question from Emma.
Hi, Emma.
Hi, my name is Emma, and I was wondering, bless you, and I was wondering what was the highest temperature that Australia has ever gotten to, and I was thinking you might be able to tell me.
Well, we just did that recently, didn't we? That was like 40, 47, 48 degrees, wasn't it?
The highest temperature is... Because didn't Adelaide set the record for a city.
Adelaide
So
set
that was
the record for the city.
46.6 degrees.
That is toasty.
Scorching. Toasty indeed.
That is
50.7.
50.7?
50.7 our little birdie told us. And do you know where that was, little birdie?
Unadata.
Unadata. There you go.
Should a Scottish person really try and say that? Unadata.
Yeah.
Udnadata.
Yes, did a good job. Did a good job.
Udnadata.
If you're from Udnadata and you happen to be watching, please let us know.
Please don't be offended because I can't say Udnadata. Please don't. I'm trying. Well, that's an unbelievable temperature. That's...
Now, I've got another question. This kind of refers to one from before. It's from Vivica. Have you, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, have you ever been close to a bushfire before? So we're sort of talking about this. And from Martin, that's a definite no. And I have to say from me as well, that is a no. I've never actually been in the vicinity of one and I can see it, but I have had an experience before where I have had to clear out because a bushfire was in the area.
Really?
And so I had to leave.
Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't my house, but it was my partner's house. And so he has a little dog, Boxer. I like to say I'm the dog's stepmom. Her name is Lulu. And so
Lulu the Boxer.
We went and rescued Lulu just in case and took her, and we went off somewhere else. So,
but nothing happened. It was all safe.
Nothing happened, so it was all safe. But yeah, it is a bit of a weird feeling, and I know that kids watching would definitely have been a lot closer or would have experienced possibly the same thing. And so you can testify it's pretty scary when you think you might lose your house and things, which some people in Tasmania have done, and there are some bushfires burning elsewhere in the country as well. So spare a thought for them right now as well.
Yeah, exactly. Is that New South Wales? Right?
New South Wales, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So
any more? What have we got?
Let's see. Okay, Elias. Is that Elias? I think that's right.
Elias. Yeah.
Elias.
I would say it.
I love all the capitals you've put this in. How will this change in climate? How will this change in climate affect humans?
Oh, I think that's a good one.
It's a tough one.
But we did speak to some experts about it as well when the crazy weather was happening, and I asked the question, would humans have to adapt themselves to the crazy weather? And I think I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible. The expert did say that we are in Australia in particular, we're always going to have bushfires, we're always going to have flash floods, but it might become more extreme and people might just have to change the way that they do things daily, like staying in, the way that, because sometimes you might not be able to drive your cars on the road if it's so dangerous, or pets and things like that, and it can just, and when it comes to water, we have to watch how much water we use in the future if it becomes more extreme, just little things like that. But we can't, I suppose, at the minute, we can only predict, because it's not affecting us that much at the moment, where people are obviously having to move out of their homes and stuff. That's a short-term devastation for people, and that's really sad, but longer term in day-to-day lives, you can only predict how weather could change things.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh well, we will have to see.
Have to wait and see.
That's it. But we can, like you were saying, do things now to sort of fight the effects of climate change and things in that way, right?
That's right.
That is helpful now. So,
what else
I don't know
have
if
we got?
you know this one.
Go on.
All right, let's go for another one. I'm going to go for Will, because I like this because it's directed at you, and I'm thinking about the other one. All right.
Oh, thanks, Will.
We'll take it as I think it's a comment and a question. Okay.
Okay.
I read that you used to play wheelchair basketball for Glasgow. I love basketball. Who is your favourite player? My favourite is LeBron James. Good choice.
I thought that.
Awesome.
I thought that would be his favourite player. I did used to play wheelchair basketball, and I used to play wheelchair basketball for Scotland and for a Glasgow team and for a Edinburgh team, so I was captain of Scotland for a long time. And I love playing basketball. It's definitely my favourite sport to play, and I like watching it as well. Look at my little face there. That was me.
Look at this.
That was my very first Scotland call-up. I can't remember what age I was there. I must be quite young because I've still got my brown hair and my youthful looks there. No red face there, is there? Totally natural, But yeah, that's was me.
That's called the Glasgow skin colour.
That's totally Glasgow skin colour right there.
Hasn't been touched by the sun.
Yeah, and I love basketball as well, Will, and I think I have a lot of favourite players in the NBA, but I think Steph Curry at the moment has got to be my favourite player.
So do you have a team as well as you, Barrack, for
no,
anyone in
because
particular?
I don't. That's the thing. When LeBron James was playing for the Cavaliers, then I always liked the Cavaliers, but then he moved to the Lakers, didn't he? So I don't really like supporting the LA Lakers because everybody supports the LA Lakers.
Fair
and I
enough.
like to be a little bit
different.
Yeah, but
I like it.
Oh, yeah, it's good. LeBron James is a good favourite player to have. It certainly is.
Okay, so let's see. Ben would like to know, what has been the worst extreme weather that Edinburgh has experienced?
Edinburgh
in particular.
Well, Edinburgh in particular, I think it can be a little bit different. Well, I'm from Glasgow, so that's on the west coast.
Yeah.
And Edinburgh, if you're driving in a car, is about 45 minutes east.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they experience weather too differently than that. I suppose the extreme weather that we get is the Beast from the East, it was called, and that came last year. And I don't think that just affected Edinburgh and Glasgow and Scotland. I think that affected quite a lot of people in the UK all round. I think it swept the nation.
Was that the heat or?
It was the cold.
Oh, cold.
So this was a really cold weather. It was really cold weather. It was snowing. It was windy. It was icy, and it was called the Beast from the East because it was that powerful.
Oh, the Beast from the East. Yes.
And we had never really experienced something that bad that quickly before. So I'd say, last year, Beast from the East.
And so this one, I don't know, might take you back a little while. Certainly takes me back. Tommy would like to say, has asked us anyway, tell us about a school day that you experienced where the weather had affected the learning at school.
Oh, that's actually a pretty good one. I went one time to an agricultural farm to learn about Scottish agriculture in school, and we went to see the sheep, and we got really high up in this farm, and it was all about learning where our food comes from and how the farmers work. And it started really snowing heavily, and we got stuck in the farm with loads of sheep, with loads of little lambs and loads of sheep for ages. I'm not going to say that it affected my learning too much. I had a great time.
You're probably having an awesome time.
But you know what, Amelia? I didn't have my wellies, so
no.
So I was ill prepared because
that'll teach you to not bring your wellies.
That was that day where weather affected my learning. I got to cuddle lambs all day. It was terrible.
Oh, terrible. Horrible. Awful day. You? Awful day. Me, I remember a day when it was, I think we didn't have to go to school after like 36 degrees, but it had to reach the 36. And I remember it went to 35. And we still had to go to school. And it was just so hot. And we were in these old school buildings, and it was awful. So
it's one of those ones where you wish that it was like 30 so that you didn't get so excited,
exactly.
Isn't it?
And you're like, come on, 36.
The 35 that's the bit that gets you, isn't it? Because you're like, oh, come on. You're just 1 degree off.
Good. Just 1 degree off. Anyway, all right, we better wrap this up. But quickly, we have a special guest. I mentioned earlier that we have a new look version of Newsbreak. So we have Ruby to tell us a little bit more about it.
Here she is. Hi, Ruby. Come on in.
Hi, Ruby.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hey, guys. Hello.
Hi.
How's the weather chat been?
It's been good.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Yoshi.
Lots of
Yoshi fell over.
I was trying to explain to Martin before about Yoshi and why we called him Yotti, but I couldn't remember. Is it small or is it big? It was small, wasn't it?
I think when we named him
confused.
we thought it was small, but then we found out that it actually means like the hugest form of measurement that there is.
Which I like even more now.
Ironic.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
It's the irony.
I like it.
Sure.
I like it. Well, our weather chat has been really hot and cold. I just keep doing this. I can't help it. I can't help it.
Loves a good
I know. You just keep coming up with.
I
You've
do
been
appreciate
teaching me.
a
I've been
good
learning from the master. I have. Teaching me the puns.
Learning how to be punny.
Yeah,
punny. I like that. Well, speaking of punny, tell us about Newsbreak.
Yeah, so if any of you guys have been watching Newsbreak recently, you may have noticed a couple of changes to the set, and also just that we just have changed the layout of the show a little bit. But you should totally give it a watch. It's on 6:25 on weekdays on ABC Me. You can also find it on the ABC Me app. You can also find it on our YouTube channel and also on the BTN website, so it's everywhere.
Everywhere, and make sure
Everywhere.
if you are keen on that YouTube channel, then like and subscribe.
That's right.
Because then you'll get updates every time we put a new show to it.
Uh-huh.
Ah!
What are you doing with your
And-
team?
Oh no! Goodbye, Yodi.
He's like, no,
I'm
don't
Multitask.
me over again.
Goodbye, Yodi.
Bye,
Been
Yodi.
We love you.
Poor Yodi.
Sorry, but that sounds good.
Yeah, and make sure that when you subscribe to our channel, also hit the bell button, because that means that every time a new episode drops, you will get notified and you can watch it as soon as it comes out. When it comes out every afternoon. So yeah, and we wrap up the news stories of the day. So today's episode, just to give you a little sneak peek,
Oh.
we are talking about dinosaur footprints being saved from floods. We are talking about millions of fish dying and how people are dealing with that, which is, actually pretty sad.
Yeah.
And we have some fun stuff too, like a conspiracy theory that you may have heard about a certain pizza chain, which has been accused of recycling pizza slices.
What?
Yeah,
How-
so it
Oh
is
my
just a
goodness.
conspiracy theory.
I love a good conspiracy theory.
I
Yeah,
hope
well,
that
this
it-
guy
I
has
re-
made a 1.5 hour documentary about why he thinks this particular, it's not in Australia, don't worry.
Good to know.
This particular pizza chain has been getting the leftover pizza slices and then shoving them together to form new pizzas for people.
I seriously hope at the end of this investigation that we find out that this was all just a big hoax, and
I think
no
it is.
one,
I think it is a big
and,
hoax, isn't
and no
it?
one has been eating someone
hope it's
else's leftover pizza.
Surely.
Personally, I hope it's true. That's just amazing. I mean,
mean-
hey, don't waste, right?
part of me is like, that's actually really environmentally
And
friendly.
also, if you can't finish your pizza, I mean, who are you? Come on.
exactly.
I know, everybody,
Eat up.
come on, never leave pepperoni lying around. No way.
Keep
way.
away from Martin.
No way. Never leave pepperoni.
There's
I'll
your
eat it.
recycling
Yeah.
pizza right there. Awesome stuff. Well, thank you, Ruby, and thank
Thanks,
you,
Ruby.
Martin.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in. We will see you next Friday for another Ask a Reporter. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Whoa, what's this?
This
Oh
is
my
me
gosh,
doing
Martin.
a skydive. Do you want to see my? This was. Can I just say
What?
this was Australia's very first wheelchair
Wait,
skydive.
skydive
You're
or bungee
kidding.
Not
jump?
bungee jump. Sorry.
Okay.
Not skydive.
Australia? You
Look
did
at my
it here?
face. Look at my face.
Ah!
You look slightly terrified.
I am petrified.
Oh my
but
goodness, this is so good.
yeah, but basically, I'm still sat in my
good.
wheelchair, and that was the first time that Australia had ever done this. So people who have got disabilities normally have to come out of the chair, but we had to figure out a
Did it
way
with the chair.
with the wheelchair. Watch this, it actually submerges me into the water at some point
I
as
hope you
well.
were strapped in tight.
I was strapped in.
Just
So yeah, I
terrifying?
hope I was strapped in tight too. There it comes
Wow.
like, and a wee dip for Martin. There it is.
What a
There
finish.
it is. No
Well
shiver for me on that
done.
day. No shiver. No shiver.
Very impressive.
Ah, that was fun.
Ah,
Bye
that's all right.
guys.
Bye,
See you guys.